and to begin our time together, we'd like to center and our minds and focus our collective thoughts. Let us take a few moments to quiet our minds with the mother's music, which will be followed by a reading from Sri Aurobindo's The Synthesis of Yoga, specifically the chapter, The Four Aids. The reading can be followed in printed note kept inside the.
In the eternity of becoming, each avatar is only the announcer, the forerunner of a more perfect future realization. And yet, men have always the tendency to define the avatar of the past in opposition to the avatar of the future. Now again, Sri Aurobindo has come announcing to the world the realization of tomorrow. And again, his message meets with the same opposition as of all those who preceded him. But tomorrow will hold the truth of what he revealed, and his work will be done. What Sri Aurobindo represents in the history of the Earth's spiritual progress is not a teaching, not even a revelation. It is a mighty action straight from the Supreme. Jai Krishna Bhagavan Jai Krishna Shobha Lokadhati Mera Jaya Tulakadu Bhuvare Kayu Udayo Jaya Tulakadu Gavi Jaya Bhagavan
The 4 A's of the synthesis of yoga siddhi, the perfection that comes from the practice of yoga, can be best attained by the combined working of 4 great instruments. There is, first, the knowledge of the truths, principles, powers, and processes that govern their realization, Shastra. Next comes a patient and persistent action on the lines laid down by this knowledge, the force of our personal effort, Utsaha. There intervenes, third, uplifting our knowledge and effort into the domain of spiritual experience, the direct suggestion, example, and influence of the teacher, Guru. Last comes the instrumentality of time, Kala. For in all things, there is a cycle of their action and a period of the divine movement.
The supreme Shastra of the integral yoga is the eternal Veda secret in the heart of every thinking and living being. The lotus of the eternal knowledge and the eternal perfection is a bud closed and folded up within us. It opens swiftly or gradually, petal by petal, through successive realizations. Once the mind of man begins to turn towards the eternal, once his heart, no longer compressed and confined by attachments to finite appearances, becomes enamored, in whatever degree, of the infinite. All life, all thought, all energizing of the faculties, all experiences, passive or active, become thenceforward so many shocks which disintegrate the teguments of the soul and remove the obstacles to the inevitable efflorescence. He who chooses the infinite has been chosen by the infinite. He has received the divine touch, without which there is no awakening, no opening of the spirit. But once it is received, attainment is sure, whether conquered swiftly in the course of one human life or pursued patiently through many stadia of the cycle of existence in the manifested universe.
quick development of the experience in its rapidity, its amplitude, the intensity. And power of its results depends primarily in the beginning of the path and long after, on the aspiration and personal effort of the sadhaka. The process of yoga is a turning of the human soul from egoistic state of consciousness, absorbed in the outward appearances and attractions of things, to a higher state in which the transcendent and universal can pour itself into the individual mold and transform it. The first determining element of the siddhi is therefore the intensity of the turning, the force which directs the soul inward, the power of aspiration of the heart, the force of the will, the concentration of the mind, the perseverance and determination of the alive energy are the measure of that intensity. The ideal sadhaka should be able to say in the biblical phrase, my Jeev, for the Lord has eaten me up. It is this Jeev for the Lord, Utsaha, the Jeev of the whole nature for the divine results. Vyakula, the heart's eagerness for the attainment of the divine, that devolves the ego and breaks up the limitations of its faith and narrow mold for the full and wide reception of that which it seeks, that which being universal exceeds and being transcendent surpasses even the largest and highest individual self and nature.
As the Supreme Shastra, the integral yoga is the eternal Veda secret in the heart of every man. So, its supreme guide and teacher is the inner guide, the world teacher, Jagat Guru, secret within us. It is he who destroys our darkness by the resplendent light of his knowledge. That light becomes within us the increasing glory of his own self revelation. He discloses progressively in us his own nature of freedom, bliss, love, power, immortal being. He sets above us his divine example as an ideal and transforms the lower existence into a reflection of that which it contemplates. By the pouring of his own influence and presence into us, he enables the individual being to attain to identity with the universal and transcendent.
The teacher of the integral yoga should follow as far as he may the method of the teacher within us. He will lead the disciple to the nature of the disciple. Teaching, example, influence. These are the three instruments of the Guru. But the wise teacher will not seek to impose himself or his opinions on the passive acceptance of the receptive mind. He will throw in only what is productive and sure as a seed which will grow under the divine fostering within. He will seek to awaken much more than to instruct. He will aim at the growth of the faculties and the experiences by a natural process and free growth of the faculty, free growth of the expansion. He will give a method as an aid, as a recital, not as an imperative formula or a fixed routine. And he will be on his guard against any turning of the means into a limitation, against the recognizing of process. His whole business is to awaken the divine light and set working the divine force, of which he himself is only a means and an aid, a body or a channel.
The sadhaka who has all these aids is sure of his goal. Even a fall will be for him only a means of rising, and death a passage towards fulfillment. For once on this path, birth and death become only processes in the development of his being and the stages of his journey. Time is the remaining aid needed for the effectivity of the process. Time presents itself to human effort as an enemy or a friend, as a resistance, a medium, or an instrument, but always it is really the instrument of the soul. Time is a field of circumstances and forces meeting and working out a resultant progression whose course is it measures. To the ego, it is a tyrant or a resistance to the divine and instrument. Therefore, while our effort is personal, time appears as a resistance, for it presents to us all the obstructions of the forces that conflict with our own. When the divine working and the personal are combined in our consciousness, it appears as a medium and a condition. When the two become one, it appears as a servant and instrument. The ideal attitude of the sadhaka towards time is to have an endless patience as if he had all eternity for his fulfillment, and yet to develop the energy that shall realize now and with an ever increasing mastery and pressure of rapidity till it reaches the miraculous instantaneousness of the supreme divine transformation. Shastra, Shastra, Utsaha, Guru, and Kala. The framework, the zeal, the teacher, and the, the time for organic growth. For the past year and a half, these four aids have quietly guided a new collective effort across our global community. Today, we want to share how that effort is beginning to manifest. Let us look at the bridge we are building together.
For decades, our global family of centers worked with profound dedication, but often in isolation. Over the past year and a half, through continuous shared effort, that reality has been quietly shifting. Welcome to AuroGlobal. Not a sudden launch, but a living, growing process. AuroGlobal has been facilitating by being a digital bridge, now connecting over 180 centers worldwide, gradually transforming individual efforts into one unified network. We have learned that we all carry a piece of the work. Every center, no matter how small, has a need, and every individual, no matter where they are, carries a unique strength.
And this bridge is already full of life. It begins with the simplest form of connection: presence. Through our unified platform, centers are now broadcasting their local events globally. Seekers are discovering study circles, meditations, and workshops right in their own regions, arriving at welcoming doors that were previously hidden from view. Alongside this physical gathering, knowledge and inspiration are flowing freely across borders. Multilingual newsletters are being shared daily across the network, ensuring that our collective insights and shared spiritual heritage reach every corner in scripts and languages that touch the heart. But connection quickly turns into action. When a center needs hands, the network answers. We are witnessing real-time matches between centers, posting opportunities, and dedicated volunteers stepping up to serve. Through these very real, spontaneous exchanges, captured in the everyday WhatsApp messages of our community, we see people crossing the world or simply crossing town to offer their time and energy exactly where it is needed most. Yet, to sustain our spiritual and community work, we must also sustain our physical realities. AuroGlobal provides a unified digital storefront that empowers our local units and artisans. By integrating creators onto a single global platform, we are bringing their conscious creations directly to a worldwide audience. It ensures that the dedicated work of our hands leads to true economic self-sustainability.
We have learned that we all carry a piece of the work. Every center, no matter how small, has a need. And every individual, no matter where they are, carries a unique strength. AuroGlobal is our collective strength pool. By pouring our individual capacities into this shared space, the dream of unity takes physical shape. The bridge has been built and it continues to grow every single day. Now, let us cross the bridge together.
Hello, and my name is Vikram, and I am here to represent AuroGlobal, our on our platform. A platform trying to connect the centers, the individuals who are already in the ecosystem of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. As you saw in the video, we instead of taking through what we do, we made a video for that. And we will just straight away go to what has been the impact till date, or a brief thing I see a few places who I haven't seen before, so a small brief about how it all started. It started with the idea of having volunteers for the centers. The idea of having volunteers for the centers, we built a site, but we found that no one was visiting the site. We thought we should have it more interesting, where people would like to come and visit. So we started to have events, hosting the events of the centers, so people were trying to visit, but still it wasn't enough. We went on to have some products as well, so that whatever people come, they are able to see the products that are there. Once we did that, we were wondering what to do next, because we were talking to the centers, and most of the centers were having a requirement, and we were finding it extremely difficult to address all the requirements. Obviously, we had grown from like 20 centers where they were around 100 of them. We thought it would be nice to have the strengths of the centers also pooled in, so that any of the other centers that might need that would be able to use the strength of those centers. So we have the strength pool, and we have now a sizable amount of individuals who are also ready to offer their services. All these services that are being offered are without a commercial thing involved. It is a more of a self-giving towards mother and Sri Aurobindo. So we have, as of now, 180 plus centers which are connected. And believe me, it is a tip of the iceberg. It's nothing. We have many, many more. We had a physical meet where we had someone who told, why don't you have a online meet? So we started with online meet on 25th November last year. We do conduct it every alternate Tuesdays. So we have around 17, 18 of them which has been conducted. We also shared our resources in that. The online platform has been nice because people are starting to exchange ideas. Their strength pool is being exchanged, and there has been a few impacts that has happened. I wouldn't like to go in detail because I'm not sure if they would like to disclose on the public platform. So basically, we were not willing to use the word isolation. This is something that we should not have used. I'm sorry. It shouldn't be isolation. No center can be isolated because mine is there. Like, this is a mistake I found right now. So yes, but they are trying to connect them, trying to make them more lively, more people going around. It happened in Jantral, it happened in a few more places that we went, and there were a few more things coming up at that day after that. What we are speaking about is the strength pool. That is the focus as of now. As of now, we have a few more focuses coming up very shortly next week. So in the strength pool, we basically showcase the events. We have the volunteering and the newsletters that we showed. This is a photo of one of the online meetings that we have. We are now trying to focus on a few new initiatives that we think might be required. The first one is very close to our heart, all of us, is the education. So for education, I'd like to ask, are you going to have a mic with her, please? You would like to come over here? Yeah. This is much more comfortable than that. So we have something called, I will just brief you what we have. And then basically this interaction should be there on how it could be used. This, what we are trying to do, on how it could be used further to try and do something with the programs that SAI has. We obviously would be very happy to have feedbacks on the two programs that I'm about to share. It will take like 2 minutes for me to share that. The first is the teacher sharing program. The images that you see here, we have already started a pilot for this teacher sharing program. It was supposed to be a program where any school who doesn't have a teacher of a particular subject can post their requirement. And any other school who has the bandwidth to provide a teacher for that particular subject online for maybe 2-3 periods a week puts up their hands and say, yes, we are there, we'll be able to help you out. We tried to do this, but instead what happened is there was a language issue. There was a school in Karnataka, they do not have an English teacher. We have a school in Bengal who is willing to help. So what happens is the photos that you see here are of day before yesterday. So we had a few sessions. And now basically they are trying to go in for a teacher training. So there are teachers teaching the teachers online on how exactly it could be done. This could be followed up with a class by the teacher in Bengal to the students in Karnataka. Now, this school in Karnataka has offered that they have good teachers for music and Malkham. So they are willing to give out their teachers music online. Malkham, they are willing to even send the teachers out for even 15 days or something and teach their teachers as well. This is something that the ball has just started to roll. We have to see how things unfold. The second one is something we wanted to bring in the storytelling back, which has been mostly the Indian cultural way of passing on knowledge from generation to generation. So we have the mother's short stories, which are around 2 volumes, which are around 72 of them. We have groupings based on languages: English, Bengali, Uriya, Gujarati, Hindi. So we have these languages in which we have already a coordinator, a narrator in the schools. So there are coordinators and there are narrators who will be narrating the stories of the mother and explaining to them in their regional language. This is a very, very simple thing, nothing complicated. Online, multiple schools will be there and it will be happening. We are having the first session on 17th August with Bengali and Hindi. These are the two languages in which we are having most of it. These are the two initiatives that we have as of now. We'll be very happy to know what you feel about it and any other things that you have that we should do or we should make an attempt to do at least.
Okay, so Hila, if you want to join, you join whenever you. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful initiative, just the possibility of sharing those resources and to start to play with languages, to really play with languages, to get into this aspect of storytelling. What we have been working on, some of the aspects that I think could be interesting for all the learning centers in schools. Speak of 3 projects right now. One of them started when we started looking actually at AuroGlobal and at the development of the cultural zone of AuroGlobal, and you'll see how it ties back to all of it. And we started looking at this beautiful campus that we have of Dehashakti, which needs to be developed, the Center for Physical Education. And then I wondered, but wouldn't it make sense to have a center for vital education, a center for mental education. And so we gave a call to Lavnir and said, listen, we have some incredible plans, but we want to know where you are at with yours before we start creating. And as we're explaining to them the idea, one of them said, bring the maps. And so we see that on old studies, there was the proposition already of these different centers, of these different faculties. They were called development for the faculty of the vital being, for the faculty of the mental being, the faculty of the physical being, of course, and then there was a space for a psychic center. I always thought it was Mathematics, but we have one more, it seems. So we started thinking, okay, what could this mean? On the ground is one thing, but also can we, because in the context of model, we have sometimes struggled a little bit, for example, with the education of Bible. What do we mean by it? Refinement of the senses, lifting and refinement of each aspect. So we started with that. So right now we are working on materials, on getting groups together, on conversations, on curricula, on stories, based on these different aspects. And similarly, just like we have, I think, in all the centers of Mother and Aurobindo, you know, when you see that turquoise, the golden turquoise with the red center and those 12 rays, all of us know physical education. So similarly, we started looking at what kind of symbols can we create for vital education, looking through their texts and see what is the kind of call that we can bring in. What can we do for mental education? What can we do to make sure that this instrumental nature is more and more, we encourage it to organize itself around that psychic center, around that spiritual aspiration. Because many times what happens is that we talk about integral education, and because we are in a space where we are still very much in old systems, it ends up being a bit secondary, right? The discovery of the inner being. So this is the first aspect, is looking at these different centers. So along with Deha Shakti, then you have Prana Shakti, you have Jnana Shakti, and the work that's around there. This would be interesting to share with other centers, not necessarily in the schools, and see what develops. The second aspect is arising from the question that many of the schools, if we look at education, many of the schools around the country, around the world, that are deeply touched by what Mother and Aurobindo bring, still try to cater to the world as it is. And that's quite natural, right? We've come to call them hybrid schools. The schools that try to bridge the possibility of an integral education with the needs to meet certain boards, examinations, etc. And then there is the other line, right? It could be the seeking of an integral education proper, which would be to say, okay, the priority of any education would be number one, finding that center, and then developing the instrumental nature around it. And for that, we start looking at the question, so long as the aim of education, whether it's schooling or post, in terms of university, colleges, etc., aims at some kind of recognition of a paper, the education will be directed towards that. And we know today, especially with AI coming up, that is quite a challenge. We are not testing the aspects that we need to test. So we thought, can we propose something from the learnings of Aurobindo? And what we noticed when we started looking at this is that one of the main tools of education in Aurobindo has been challenges, facing challenges. When your math teacher comes up and says, let's go for a walk. Sure, where? Let's go to Gingy, 68 kilometers overnight. Right? These are the things that make us grow. So we thought, can we find a way to formalize that and propose that so that we start to awaken in our youth an enthusiasm in the face of challenges? Because one thing we do know about the future, we don't know what it will look like in 5 to 10 years. One thing we do know is that it will be challenging. So can our attitude be looked at? So linked to that, we have put together a proposition which is called the Triple Challenge Framework. It started as a secondary education proposition and now has been worked on to go to colleges and universities as well as younger kids. Originally, it was during the time of secondary education, so between the ages, say, of 13 and 17, 18, 19. Each child can take up three challenges in the body, three challenges in the life force of the Bible, three challenges in the mind. They need to choose them themselves and to organize them around the question that who do I want to grow into? And so around that central aspiration. Recently, there was some interest from certain universities for this, so we have created a facilitator's handbook and now working on documents, etc., for our students. So this could be something I think that could be interesting to share. And the last is an initiative that is just coming up, and I think it's really beautiful for mothers 150th, and this could be a collaborative research. One of the propositions was to look at, so again, it starts in Oregon. We have this wonderful space of the mountain, and then we must go once in a while to recharge a little bit, some go more regularly, but can we use this incredible space and the symbol that it is really as a living resource of education? And if you look at it, the physicality of it is completely based on Mother's symbol. And we know that throughout our schools, we've been working using Mother's symbol since decades. And I'm pretty sure this happens across these schools as well. So to figure out how is this being done across different ages, and put this together and create some really beautiful material or beautiful approaches that then we can share more and more. So these are three initiatives that I think could be interesting from my side if we can share and see where things come from then, see what ideas are born and how we could collaborate.
We have close to around, I think, 50 plus schools with us right now. We are trying with a handful of them. But it's the one, I think, in the one for the 150th birthday, and that will be amazing. I can many of them. Because I don't think they are already, I think I have been to a few schools and they are a bit off. The hybrid mode has to be brought in there. They are more going towards the normal schooling time, although they want to be hybrid. They need these modules, they need all these things to be there. So that is absolutely there, and we could have something on that very soon.
I think part of the challenge with this is that whatever module or approach or material one tries to share, finally in the work with Mother and Aurobindo, it's going to be much more about the approach with which we do things, the how we do things, rather than the what we do. So this would be, and I think that the human aspect helps with that. So I found it interesting that you have these interactions already between teachers. How can this be done in this way that the attitude that you will bring in is going to be the big difference?
That's the base of everything. We could actually, if it's okay for you, sometime in September, we could have a online meeting with most of the schools with Sire, a few of you explaining to them what exactly could be done. You think it's possible?
I think so. I get nods, so yeah, should be fine.
And yeah, you have to get a nod.
Are you looking for nods as well?
Yeah,
We're looking for nods. We don't know what for, but
Pavitra, where's Pavitra? He's not here to keep me the nod. Yeah.
Vikram said that there's 50 schools which are on board. But we actually have, I think in India alone, at least 700 institutions, schools and education institutions. And it goes from prenatal, actually secondary, all the way up into the university, again secondary. So our aim, of course, one of the first aims was to get all of them on because
also the government is very interested in education. So somehow, so I don't know in which educational field, except the very normal one, as we call it, you have this kind of base. And when you visit, I visit in the other schools, and of course I know the only schools, and everybody has been working a bit differently. No? So there are many things developed in each place which could be brought together. And I think that if with the thing like that you have been telling, it makes me just want to fly now. It's amazing what is happening. We need to become immortal to experience all these things. No? So it will be very interesting to use this not only to call on the ones which are on AuroGlobal, but actually to call from all the schools together. And we could even have a kind of conference here on that to bring the things in real life like that would be it's absolutely magnificent, especially since we have another 150 coming. It would be amazing to break all these barriers and to be able.
Sure. I think from that perspective, it could be very interesting. One of the things that has been happening in the last 4 years here is what we've come to call this Integral Education Practitioners Gathering, which started as a little bit of a push to meet with all educators of AuroGlobal and come back to the questions of what are we actually trying to do here? What is the purpose of education in the context of the world and work of Mother and Sri Aurobindo? And are we really doing that? How are we doing that? What have we learned? And to start to speak to each other, because we had the tendency, and maybe that word is not quite right, to be a little isolated. I would use the word silos. In Marvel, we had lots and lots of silos. And we're very proud of our connection with the source directly, but not with each other. So that's something we've tried to tackle a little bit. And it's been interesting actually to come together, and we found formats, and Sohela, who is sitting there, has worked on these quite a bit to see formats in which we get teachers to really talk to each other and explore different things, which are a little bit concrete, because the trouble is otherwise we talk, and then how do we actually anchor it is where the challenge is. Like you said, in India, there is a great interest in making changes. The national education policy is quite interesting. There are different things in different states which are very rich, but the question is how to ground it. And what AuroGlobal does have over the last 50 years or so of exploration and experimentation, sometimes a little bit clumsy, but is experience as to how can things be tried out on the ground. And part of the work that's in the last few years has been trying to document that. We have not been very good at actually writing down what we've tried out and what has worked well, and sometimes what has not worked very well, but we've learned from, hopefully. Yeah, so that's part of our homework.
We could have something in the month of September.
Thank you.
The commercial products, we have I think from a few commercial units. So we just wanted to know, we have this platform where we had shown in so we had shown in the video about the page that we are creating. The page does not sell, we just showcase the product. I would like to have a few feedbacks from the commercial units. Uma is right here. Yeah. Uma, you want to join us here? Do you want to sit on a chair, or you want comfortable down? Just wanted to know, like when you were out, on how it could be improvised further. We have this place where we are having this showcasing the products. It doesn't sell, but it showcases the product and it will be able to be taking them to your website. Basically, they can buy it. So something like that is trying to do. It's there.
So what is the question?
Question is, we still don't have your products on there.
I was seeing it at the Aurobindo level, and especially when you said that there are 120 plus different locations have been listed. So if, and already you are already part of AuroGlobal.com, right? So,
But this is very.
so won't you go through AuroGlobal.com and represent AuroGlobal that way? That would be much easier entry. Have you spoken to your team in AuroGlobal.com to see how it is?
Okay.
So it might be a good idea that representation of all the product that visually appears over here. And that goes back to things it does in one go, a great job. Many other centers have their product which Aurobindo might be interested in, and these are the
Absolutely, that will be done.
because reaching out to one by one when Aurobindo is already pretty organized into e-commerce and that is my immediate first thought. But if you're going into detail, yes, if you're asking me as a person, not the full of Upasana, but I see part of Upasana could be present. We are doing a lot of learning processes of design and getting into deeper spaces that we would love to share that. That's very powerful. And as a product, which happened to be the main product is a very fashion centric. Even we are entering into wellness, yes, that would be another good entry. I do see
The,
yes.
the idea behind this is not to showcase only just the product, It is an idea to showcase the, the thought process that goes behind it, the consciousness that goes behind it, so that whole thing, because if something is here, obviously it has been curated with a different intention. The whole intention of making a product in our ashram is not the same as it means outside. The whole intention is very different. So this is with all the centers, if I have been to a few centers outside, we also do it in that same love and respect that it's being done for her. So that thing is there. So we want to showcase that particular aspect more rather than showcasing only the products and becoming a brochure or something like that, or a catalog. That's not making much sense. So we are working on this. This is a part in progress. This is something that we are progressing on. Very happy if you can have a look at this and feedbacks on this.
You did see show us on the screen, so I did scroll. I was going to do that in the side. A lot of work. Well done, Jaya.
Do you remember when we had a very big group in America?
Yes.
And we had a lot of people from Orissa. And what was amazing was to come to suddenly understand how the groups, all these many centers, it's like 17 centers, 17,000 study groups, and 1,700 or more women's groups, and it's like 600 schools. Amazing community work, and they were with health and with the state governments also. And remember that suddenly they were talking about the thing that they actually were producing and buying from within the whole state network, and actually supporting, having a kind of like, not an exclusive thing, we only said here or something like that, but actually, and when I was at, every time there is a conference, and we saw that in Gujarat also,
They come and they exhibit at the same time from the different centers where they are sending, what they're sending, what they're doing. So this thing of actually starting to support each other in that sense, I think that was something very, very amazing because we are not so much in these frames of how you move that, you know. So I thought that this was a great thing when you put all this and eventually maybe we can have one website. Why should we already have a separate one? Isn't it much greater if you have everything?
Or you can cross-link as well, but what you're saying is how Gujarat has, as a state, has mobilized, and what we heard, it was just very, okay. I remember that conversation where it was very, very inspiring. Yes. Not Gujarat, Odisha has organized it. Odisha.
Amazing.
It was Odisha has organized it, and it has made a very community empowered economy, and internally, it was very strong network and how it built this.
And how it feels between people, how so connected people. It's amazing.
It's a very powerful idea.
Yes, it is.
I'm pretty deep one, so it will take much longer time, but as an idea, it's very powerful to reach in that spot. Are you looking at it?
She helped me. Yes, she helped all of us. We will see.
It was inspiring. I remember that we were very intrigued by it. What will happen if that formation managed to sustain and grow? Very, very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just feeling and very impressed.
I think we have from a few more people. Candidates, if they are ready. You want to speak something about it? Say- Um, during the Monica had to share to me. No, we had talked about something music that I actually sing to her. We actually we all generally we wanted to have all the events of Orwell to be posted on AuroGlobal. This is one of the strongest points of AuroGlobal as of now. We have quite a good number of events that are being posted out, and we have a good amount of newsletters that go to all the centers every week, where all the events are listed and it is being sent out to them as to what are the events happening in this week. So it would be nice if you can have some kind of a way where we could know about the events. Everyone will have their own dashboards, everyone has that. It's not being used as of now, our mistake, but we would like to see how it could be done.
That way, we can do process. So we create calendars for whole year. What exactly happening in dance, music, fashion, education, wellness, martial arts. So we will share and post accordingly in advance so that they can aware about these programs. We can work for that possibility there. We are quite open.
And also, I would like you to go through the sidebars. If any feedbacks, suggestions on how it could be done. There's a beautiful page on the site called Global Album, where basically after the event, you can upload it in the same event page. It can be shared by you. So once you upload it there, it's there in the event page, and also it's there in a global album. It's a beautiful page where we have all these centers across the world working for you. So it will be very nice to have.
I had some idea, some very good conversation. I mean, I think all of you guys can work together. That means somewhere I feel like apart from actually programs of people, but according to your activities that you are doing, basically using together. So in that way, if we can create a small space for you, other people, and we can provide you.
It is there.
Okay.
It is there.
Okay, no, apart from that, I'm talking about the office space, and we provide it to other people. And then what we can do, I felt like I visited many centers across India, although I belong to Orissa. There is many activities happen. So I saw there is many volunteers, those who are really aspiring to join AuroGlobal, but they are really shy. You know, and they saw AuroGlobal. So they're shy. So if we can create such a center in Bharat Nivas to educate them, bringing them from different part of India or centers like Orissa or Gujarat, those who are really aspire strongly to join AuroGlobal, but they don't know or they're shy. AuroGlobal can, figure out these area and bring them, and we can train them. We can train and we can, you know, try to then to bring to join AuroGlobal as a volunteer. I think that also would like to
Could be done. There are volunteering employees they come in.
Correct.
Could be done, and it could be done vice versa also.
Yeah.
Like your volunteers who are here, if they actually come here, do a volunteering for a few years, and then they go back. So we have a classic example on this. We had a lady from Ukraine, I think Ukraine, I'm not sure, I think so, who had come to Orville and who had done volunteering for like 2 months. After that, she went back. She again wanted to work in some center. So she got in touch with the center in Italy through AuroGlobal site. They saw that there is a requirement of a volunteering there. So it's been now 4 5 months that she's now in the Italian center doing a volunteering thing. So there are many volunteers who actually come here and they have to go back. Obviously, they have a personal, they might be having some personal requirements to go back. So they can always be in touch with the centers which are very close to them because they already have this connect relation of some at some level. It could also be done. Please.
We are completely open to right
I will.
any way to help them to helping them to volunteer in Bharat Rivers because there are many area to work. So we are completely open. I'm saying anything I want to bring that there is many schools you have connections. So that way, I feel like in these particular schools there is also they're doing some artwork. Also there is they're also trained as far as classical dance is concerned. So for them, I think it is a dream to perform in Shrodha Ashram or in probably maybe in Bharat Nivas or Unity Pattern. We can also work together in that way and we can bring this school student to join for this collaborative things for art. That we can work.
That could be done. That is very nice. Yeah. And also for the music, Monica had given an idea. She's not here now. We had an idea of having a page called a multi-language devotional song. So there are songs in so many different Indian languages. So we are having a page which has been developed and which will be up by 15th August, where the centers, we have two options. One option is the center can upload their music their own devotional songs, either video or audio. Individuals will also be able to submit, but it will be approved by us in the backend to make sure that yes, they belong to this platform. We don't want to have everything. That is something, and also she was saying that why don't we have a kind of a meeting here in around November end, December beginning, when many people come over as a physical program for that sort. But that also would actually be thought about. Yoga, the music. Collaboration. We can bring in and train in super presentation. So that is against collaborate. Thank you. This brings me to an end of my presentation. It wasn't a presentation. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have more of an interaction. Thank you so much. I would like to have Jaya to talk something on this.
Yes. Yes, I will. Okay. So then, AuroGlobal now, it's been 1.5 years, and it is quite amazing to see how it has moved, somehow moved fast, and in certain ways slow, because some expectations would be there. No? For me, to get really the schools on board, a little bit of resistance, you know. And I was in Rissa, and I traveled around, and I went to quite a number of schools. I worked with children, I worked with teachers, and I was very, very deeply touched. We have our development in Orville, where Lang was talking about that. It's amazing also what we do, even if we are self-critical. In Orissa, they somehow seem to have worked a lot with the psychic being. It's so present in the children and in the schools. And I think it's like, oh, how do we get that element, which I think so materially not so good? We are used to kind of, more or that create environments. It's there also, but in a different way. But it is this element of the psychic being so strong that I think so. It made me realize, and then I was in Gujarat and I saw all the work they're doing in education there, amazing work. And they're on TV the whole days and all these things, and they work with the pregnant mothers, and it's fantastic to see. We need to bring it together because we have all been looking at different parts. And this is what AuroGlobal really can. So Jay, please get them to get more schools on, because they have something so amazing there. Not only with the education, but connected to education, they also work with the healthcare, with the government. So they do the healthcare programs for the Korea government, no? And then they bring the element of integral into it from Sri Aurobindo. And this is something fantastic. So all of this, it's to bring together people, it's not just something to talk, it's actually because there is so much happening and we have such an amazing field of players. And because we work in silos, the world is not aware. So for me, it is when Kirit Joshi, he said that after Aurobindo, Mother's deep concern was Sri Aurobindo's action. Now, Sri Aurobindo's action is a group. Actually, what I have understood it today about was the knowledge about Sri Aurobindo's work everywhere. In India, first of all, no? But also it always spills over into the world. And I feel that this work, like the sourcing our oneness work we have done for many years, is about Sri Aurobindo's action also. It is about this. How do we wake it up and make this amazing thing which is happening visible? And it is the time. It really is the time. Sri Aurobindo is really considered the greatest vision of modern time. And this is it. And to build all of the, to all have this presence of Sri Aurobindo, this is very, very, very interesting. So I think everything which works towards that and everything which supports that and is very important. And I have to thank Vikram and Khan and all of you for the work that you are doing for all of everybody. It is huge work. It is carried by the businesses that they are doing. So it is free for everybody to participate. There is no cost involved, which is something amazing. I see how they have been working on the website, putting it on new platforms, expensive platforms, doing all this. There is more coming very soon, which is not being talked about today, because we will launch. But it's an amazing work, and the whole team and family and everybody who supports, huge gratitude.
You have a slide, if you can just
Yeah,
speak on this.
talking about, not what I should be talking about.
No, you must.
Yes. So on the 16th, that's just in a few days, in the morning, I think at 10 o'clock, no?
Yes.
Yes, 10 o'clock in the morning. Uh,
I have not put it here, but the address is on our
yes.
website.
So in Pondi, and we do this every year in Pondi, February and August, because for people who come from all centers to go for darshan, it's easier for them still to meet up in Pondi, and maybe we are used to go in, so easier for us to go in. Please come and join. It's really, really lovely every time. People you haven't met, people so dedicated, working in centers, small centers, bigger centers. It's really, it's like they meet online, but in person it's even more. You make some new friends and you hear some new things, and it's inspiring. Yeah, oh, here it is, inauguration or global act. That will happen on the 16th. Ah, so that's something else for the phones. No? So you can sit and scroll on that. If we need to entertain ourselves. No? And inauguration of the page for music and a brief again on the storytelling and education. So on the website, there is now you can see, you can look for volunteers and you can offer space for volunteering. You can tell what help you need and you can actually give, offer your skills also. You can post things that you produce. And I thought about that also, that somehow, it is not bad to be seen in many places. So there is no harm in being on AuroGlobal.com and being an AuroGlobal in somewhere, because different people go different places. So Amazon items are sold in many other places too. You wanted to say something?
I have an idea on the
Yeah, give it.
I'll sit here. Okay, so I'm a performing artist, and I feel the idea between Janmajaya and Kumar and you, that because of the platform, what can be done is like many times there have been a lot of workshops in Audible, and if we, because of technology, we can actually announce it that people can sometimes not join online, but can watch online. And that itself gives a huge opening. For example, I'm doing a theater workshop, or Amy is doing some sound work, or even a painting thing, something some youth is performing. And then it becomes a space where you can watch each other's performances, and actually, like Chaladi is doing in Hyderabad. Now, and what we used to do Sapphire in Mumbai, and Ananta is there. So, I'm sitting here, people are sitting there, but in Janjaya provides the screen and the technology so that people can all be together on it and watch it together. And like a dance teacher can see, oh my God, this play can be done this way also. The poetry can be read like this also. Small children can also sing like this. and they will get more and more ideas, because right now, even though we have a lot of intention and a lot of love and passion and for the work that we need to do, sometimes we are restricted in ideas and formats and formulations which are also new and but also ancient. So that connection can be made if there's a space and there's a technology and a platform, and everybody can be integrated through that. And sometimes later, like for example, you said you have a conference of September or November, when these people are watching, oh my God, okay, this is how you teach mathematics through music, or this is how you teach geography through theater, or this is how you start painting. When they see, then they want to really come for the conferences. Oh my God, one more teacher comes, we don't want to go, we want to rest, or whatever we want to do. So we can invoke energy through the platform. We can kind of talk about events that can happen in which people can participate from wherever. Vladimir could be teaching hymns of Mystic Fire in US, and we all could be sitting in Bharat and watching. And then after that, we have our own gathering, and then we can post it on the group. And if some of the events that we put dance and the theater and all that, if there's a live link to it, but also then we can make it through your platform or your app live, so people can even, if it becomes heavy for the website, they can join on YouTube live. So there are so many ways in which people can feel to oneness, which is probably the what we need, like anti-silo is where how we will reach oneness. So the technology will really then flourish, and then the teachers and the youth can come together and work with each other to various such creative and interesting ways of taking the work forward. Thank you.
I think we need to collaborate with AuroGlobal videos. It's all about collaboration, widening and widening the space. No? So I think, and we need much more people in media, and we need much more women in media. So come up and come along. I think that is more or less it. The brief on storytelling, I think we had the same already. So give the thing over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jaya, for sharing your thoughts and pointing us towards the deeper meaning of why AuroGlobal is a place and why it has been manifested. So thank you for sharing your thoughts and showing us the deeper, profound meaning. So to end this evening's session, I would like to invite you all to please stand up and sing to Vande Mataram. And also, lastly, I'd like to invite all of you for a tea at the end. Thank you.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Keetanam Supanam Halayana, Keetanam, Keetanam Supanam Halayana, Keetanam, Jasya Shyamanam Mataram, Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. Shukra-josna pulakita-yamini, Ulla-kusumita-dhumadana shobhini. Shukra-josna pulakita-yamini, Ulla-kusumita-dhumadana shobhini. Subhashini, Sumadura Bhashini, Shubhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram. Saptakoti Chanta, Chantakaya Nirada Kadali, Jitaptakoti Bhujajita Kadakayavali, Saptakoti Chanta, Kadakaya Nirada Kadali, Jitaptakoti Bhujajita Kadakayavali, Abulakanumaratumani, Bahubadakari, Namami Kari, Chikudagavadi, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande
Mataram. Vidya tumi dharma, tumi vidhi tumi dharma. Vidya tumi dharma, tumi vidhi tumi dharma. Sangeeta Shabda, tumi Mataram. Vidya tumi Mabhoti. Tumi Mashokri, Vidya tumi Mabhoti. Tumari Tumi Madhuri, Murti Murti. Murti Durga Dashakari. Chakravardhani, Murti Durga Dashakari. Chakravardhani, Mari Vidya Daini, Namaha. Namaha Kamala, Kamala, Atula, Sudalam, Sukalam, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram. Shamala, Saradam, Susmitam, Bhushitam, Harim, Harim, Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.